All right, so this is the fourth and last mini session of the Records of Gaia Homebrew Campaign Group 1. I'm Alex, the DM, and who is the player today?
My name is Ben, and I will be playing a human custom lineage ranger named Tristen Hista.
Solid. Well, I will throw on this intro music situation, and then we'll get to going. All right.
Epic.
Mm-hmm. So, we'll be on this page for a little bit. So, waking up on this colder morning, you listen as the sounds of a dying rainfall against your tent slowly disperse as the stronger winds push the clouds on their way, but also sneak their way into your tent and shock you out of the daze that comes with each new morning's wake. 15 or so minutes pass as the storm that you've been listening to pretty much disperses its way out for the day. And as you start to look out and see the clearing of the fields and forests around you, you see that through your now open tent flap, there is a small village about 15 or 20 minutes walk away, but still within eyesight for you. Um, the camp, the town that you made camp outside of. You know this village to go by the name of Aramore, and you've heard of this town before. Um, you've you heard of it from your master Aiden. This is one of the places that he'd mentioned to you and kind of pointed out on maps where it was, but had not had the opportunity in which to bring you here himself. Um, so you kind of wound up here after what had happened with them and splintering from your group, kind of trying to make sense of what happened in that situation. You kind of had the idea that maybe coming here you might be able to find more answers. If you learn more about his past or their past, maybe you'll learn more about what happened and why. So you find yourself looking on the at the outskirts of Aramore on this nice, chilly, moist morning. What would you like to do? What's your morning routine look like today?
Well, you say morning is in I. It's literally like the sun is coming up, right?
Yeah, it's been up for a little bit. It's probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. You kind of there was some rain, and the sun came up as the rain was still going, and it's kind of as it's passed, it's some time has gone by, so it's probably closer to 8 o'clock, and the sun's enough up where you don't have to worry about dark vision or anything like that. You can see everything pretty clearly now.
Okay. Well, I would imagine since I woke up to a rainstorm or thunderstorm, I would have already been just sitting there and eating some of the like dry rations. I didn't have to worry about like fires or anything like that.
Absolutely.
So now that it's started to subside, I would imagine I would start packing all my stuff and I would just be heading for continuing my journey to the town.
Okay.
What's
Uh,
the landscape? Is it what
um,
I see?
it is no. This is just kind of the cover
Okay.
map. Let me take you to what you what you see. Do, 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 do. Bam. You find yourself. Should be over here. Yeah. You see, it's a pretty small town. There aren't many buildings here. It's pretty. It's all kind of encompassed in one big close knit kind of area. But
Mm-hmm.
this village is kind of in the middle of forested. It's kind of as it looks right now. There's some
Yeah.
cliffs. There's forests around. There's a river that kind of runs through it. But you see the town as you see it. So, but this is as you kind
Uh,
of get to the town.
yeah. Do I notice anything about the buildings themselves? Is it like a more of a? It is a small town, I can tell, but is it
Mhm.
run down? Is it like
It
patched together, that kind of thing?
it definitely looks older. It looks to be one that there only seems to be the one road in and the one road out of this town. Kind of the roads that you see are the ways in and out. It doesn't look like this town sees a lot of visitors. It doesn't look like there's a lot of trade or anything here. You would imagine that this place is probably self-sufficient in that they probably live off of the land and the river, and they just kind of keep to themselves, whether that's through farming, whether that's through whatever it is they choose to do. But it seems like just a small, somewhat dilapidated town that as you come into it, it doesn't seem very lively. It doesn't sound like there are a lot of people out and about, or maybe there just aren't a lot of people here.
Okay. Well, I'll be making those observations, and I have no reason to have my guard up, so I'm just going to walk in and see who I see.
Hmm. As you walk in, you're looking around, and the town does seem on the emptier side of smaller towns. But you do see there is one half-orc gentleman over at what looks to be the well in the middle of the town. Whether he's putting things in, pulling water out, you can't really tell. But it looks like he has a couple buckets at his feet. It looks like this might be his normal morning routine. You're not quite sure, but he seems to be the only person up and about at this moment, at this time of day so far.
Okay. Well, I've been on the road a while. I
Hmm.
could probably do with refilling my water skins,
Yeah.
so I'll walk up.
As you get within a few feet, he turns over his shoulder and kind of jumps for a second, not expecting to see a random person just kind of walking up to him in the middle of this town. He goes, "Oh, good morning. How can I help you?"
Ah, well, I wouldn't ask you to get my water for me, but I was hoping to use your well.
Oh, yes. One moment. Just let me pull up this bucket here. Let me finish doing what I'm doing, and then you absolutely can use the well. That's no problem at all. And you see that he makes a few straining groans as he pulls on the rope, and the bucket makes its way back to the top of the well, and he fills up his couple pails that he has sitting the around the well itself, and he leaves enough water in the bottom of this bucket that he pulled up so that you can fill up your water skin without having to put forth the effort yourself to get it.
Yeah, that's very kind of you, stranger.
Oh,
What
yes.
what do they call you here?
Oh, my name's Jasper. Um, who are you? I've never seen you before.
I'm just a stranger passing through, but my friends call me Tristen.
Well, good morning and nice to meet you, Tristan. And he holds out his hand to complete his introduction to you.
And I'll return it.
What um, what brings you here? Not many people just pass through our little village. It's not a very often visited place.
Uh, well, I'm in. I don't particularly know. I'm in between chapters of a life, you could say, and this was the a place known by one of my old friends, and so I figured I would make a detour on my way to wherever fate takes me.
Who is your old friend?
His name was Aiden.
as you say his name, go ahead and roll me an insight check, please.
Ooh, I'm good at these.
Rolls a 1. That would be kind of funny. You see, as you say Aiden, you see his eyes get a little wide for a second, and it's almost like a look of recognition kind of flashes over his face. And he kind of goes, that's an interesting name.
How so?
There used to be a man named Aiden who lived here quite some time ago.
What was he like?
Well, he was one of the primary protectors of the village. He would protect us from all manner of dangers, whether that comes from wolves or bears or people trying to come and raid our village or just general dangers. He would be the first to put up a fight to keep us protected and to keep our lives our own. He was here for many years. He spent better part of a few decades before something else called to him, and he decided he had to follow that call, and he left, and we have not seen nor heard from him since.
Was he loved?
Oh, absolutely. He was the village's favorite son, or at least one of them. There used to be more people that lived here, but living off the land is not always easy, especially with the dangers of the night and wildlife, and every now and again a hunter of, well, our kind and different kinds would come through. This village became less safe after they left, but some stayed because it was the only home they ever knew. But yes, he was loved and very missed. So
It saddens me to say that he will not be returning.
you see, he kind of deflates a little. What happened? Do you know?
He was the leader of my group. We were working a mission, and we were set upon, and it was his time.
Did he... I can see he at least kept you alive in that manner. Did he protect the others? Or were there other losses?
He was the only casualty. He died with honor. The rest of us took blows of varying degrees, but he paid the price.
You see that he kind of smiles, just a small smile, not one of like it's like he deserved it, but more of one of him. It's almost looks like it's a grateful kind of smile, like he's remembering the past of all the times that Aiden protected him and the others here, and that he passed doing what he was known here for. And he kind of looks up and just kind of nods. Well, if you've traveled all this way, I could certainly show you to the remains of what was once his home, if you wish to visit that.
Of course.
Well, let's go pay our respects together, and then I will be about my morning chores. I have some other things I have to do after collecting some water. I have to go and get some food and do some fishing and collect some more vegetables. But follow me. And you see that he kind of shifts past you, leaving his buckets at the well, and he starts walking down this way. He walks around these houses, and eventually he leads you up to here, um, up to this small, very dilapidated, very worn down house from the outside, which you can see. It looks like the windows have been boarded up. There's some holes in the boards and some wind and whatnot's getting through. But as he opens the door, you can see that a lot of the interior of the home has just fallen kind of to the wayside. No one's been taking care of it. No one has lived here in quite some time, it seems. It's a very non-used residence. This this was once his home, and when he left, no one thought it right to move in and take over. And we wanted to leave it for him to return to. But as time went on, and people left the village, there was more work to be done than time that we could spend caring for a home that no longer had a homeowner. So we just kind of boarded it up, locked the doors, and kept others from entering, but left all of his possessions and all of his things as they were. I mean, as you look around, you see this place is full of dust and dirt. There are some bugs skittering around. It's not a very huge place. It's big enough, definitely for one person, maybe two, if you're stretching it, but not the size of like a family home or anything. You see there are definitely different weapon racks kind of hanging on the wall, one for maybe a bow, a couple for swords, a few places where you could hang some quivers and maybe some armor on the wall, a very dilapidated bed, which is almost just like a sleeping sack on top of a few old rotted hay bales at this point, a single chair with a small side table, what looks to be a fireplace in the corner, and a little cooking pot and stove beside that. It's a very, very small, very simple place, but one that you could see being very cozy and very homey if it was done up to, well, what you enjoyed. So, well, unless you have any further questions of me, I have other things I need to attend to this morning, but I shall be around if you need to find me.
One question.
Yes, absolutely.
When he left, where did he go?
He didn't specifically say. I know that he mentioned he had a group that he was going to meet up with, one that he was a member of and not a leader of. There was a man that had come into the town a few times that he had met with and then had left. And then on what ended up being his final visit to the town, they spoke for a very long time. He was here for a couple of days, and then he left. And then within that same week, Aiden left, said that he had been thinking long and hard, and he had been offered an opportunity to join an adventuring clan and seek out adventure, and wealth wasn't really something that he at that time sought after so much as the experience of, seeing the world, meeting new people, learning new skills and things like that to bring home to teach others, but he sadly never returned. So, you see that he's thinking. You see that he's thinking for a minute. I'm gonna roll a d20. He's looking at you. He's like, I don't remember the man's name fully. I think it started with a J or a T or something. It was not an uncommon name, but it's been a long time. I'm sorry, I can't be of more help in that regard.
Well,
Hmm.
when he left, which road did he take, or which road would this man come in from?
Oh, the one that you came in. The road that you walked in is pretty much the primary way in and out of the town. We do have the other road, and he points down here. This one, that's more of a path out into the forest for some hunting and some game trails. And he points across the river. And this over here kind of leads up to, if you follow that path along, we keep a few fishing shacks built further along the river, so we can, you know, keep fish up there and not have to necessarily carry buckets and buckets and buckets to the town. We can kind of store everything away. We kind of keep things at a distance sometimes, but the road that you came in on is the primary travel in and out of the town.
I see.
Mm.
Thank you.
Mm.
If you don't mind, I am going to go into the house.
Oh yes, absolutely. Take as much time as you need. I have other things I need to attend to this morning. If there's anything that you do happen to need while you're here, you are more than welcome to come and find me, and I will assist you in the best way I can. So
Thank you.
it was very nice to meet you, Tristen. I'm glad you made your way to this town. I'm sure that that Aiden would be very happy that you've traveled here. So I hope you
pray
find
good fortune.
Thank you. I hope you find what you're looking for. And he kind of gives you a quick nod and does the old Midwestern, I'm gonna scooch on by you, and
let me go on right by you there.
and then makes his way back over. You see him. You kind of follow him for a minute. You can see most of the town pretty much from everywhere in this area as long as you're looking for it. That's kind of the way why they set the town up this way, so you can kind of communicate quickly. You see, they go and he gets all of his buckets and stuff of water, and he kind of trots his way into what looks to be probably the main building of this little small town, of which you've still not seen anybody else come in or out, but you see him like kick the door open and carry like 4 buckets of water in there and then kick the door shut behind him, and yeah, then he disappears off to do whatever it is that Jasper wants to do. So
Okay, well, I'm definitely going into the house.
yeah, absolutely. What do you wish to do while you are in the house?
Search around. I guess I'll just do like a cursory, like, scan the room to see if anything jumps out at me.
Okay, go ahead and do me a perception or investigation check. Looking around, there is a lot of broken down things here. It looks like this house has been not occupied for a long time. You do see, however, a small, just like a very small pocket journal kind of sitting on the desk. Looks like it's very covered in dust and some spider webs. And sitting beside it, there is a bowl with some, at this point, very dried herbs, and a small box of matches sitting beside that box of dried herbs. Other than that, you see, like I described earlier, kind of broken down furniture and whatnot. The chair looks like it could be usable. It might not be the most comfortable, but you could still sit in it. So.
Do I know what kind of herbs they are?
You are since these are so old, I would say go ahead and give me survival at advantage, just because they do take a little bit of time to kind of look at and kind of determine what they are and what they might be used for. So these herbs, they look like a combination of dried sage and like lavender or lilac. You can't really tell because the colors are pretty faded, so you're going off of a very faint old dried smell. But you know that these type of herbs are usually used for a combination of cleansing a home, or if the person utilizing them is not of any specific religious persuasion, a lot of times people will light them and just kind of sit in their presence and focus on their breathing and take in some meditation. And they're used for both cleansing of spaces and meditation and other kind of ritualistic practices, but most commonly these ones are used for the cleansings and the meditations.
Can I, at a glance, just look in the journal? Is it written in a language that I can understand?
Yes, it is written in common.
Assuming that this would be the journal of my mentor, I would light those, or I would attempt to light the herbs, and I would sit and read.
It takes a little minute just because you have to clean the bowl out from all the spider webs and dust that's in there because you realize that the actual herbs aren't catching because there's too much other plant life and other just dirt in there. So once you get it cleaned out, and you get a couple matches struck and going, they do catch, and you do sit down, brushing all the dust and spider webs off of the journal and letting the smell of the lilac, the lavender, and the sage kind of fill your lungs and the space around you. You open the book, and you start to read, but as you're reading, as you're kind of taking in these words and kind of processing what they're saying, they kind of meld away into just a blur, and you feel yourself becoming very calm and very relaxed, and you fall into this deep meditative state, whether it was on purpose or not. You kind of just sit there very calmly, and you hear a voice in the back of your head, one that you recognize, that of your mentor Aiden. And you hear it say, "You found my home. Now, I need you to complete my challenges to prove your worth of continuing this journey with me, still being your mentor even from beyond the physical plane. Do you wish to undertake them?"
Tell me what you would have me do.
3 challenges. 1, to test a different aspect of your person. The first, a riddle. And he kind of chuckles to himself just a little bit. And you hear in your head the riddle of, what always runs but never walks, often murmurs, never talks, has a bed but never sleeps, an open mouth that never eats. And the voice falls silent. And if you wish to roll for it, if you wish to roll checks for it, you can roll insight with advantage or some other check that you think makes the most sense for you trying to recall the answer to the riddle.
You said insight with advantage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll do that. Maybe. Oh.
As you sit and you're thinking, the sound of the river kind of flowing near this home gets a little louder and a little louder, and then it kind of washes over you, and you think to yourself, a river. It always runs, but it's not walking. It murmurs because it bubbles, but it never talks. It has a riverbed, but it never sleeps. And there's a mouth of a river, but it never eats. And then you hear Aiden's voice once more. Excellent. Now, on to the second challenge. And you feel yourself whisked away, and all of a sudden it's like you are transported into a dark glade, and you see and you hear a wolf growling at this unprotected young child. I need you to roll initiative.
Ah. Nice.
21. I can add you in here. All right, so you are up first, and as you see this happening, you see this wolf growling and snarling, and blood and saliva dripping from this wolf's mouth, and you see that this girl seems to have a bite mark across her left shoulder. It's not super deep, but it's deep enough that it is bleeding. And as you kind of assess the situation very quickly, you see that one of your swords has this deep silvery glow that you've never seen before. It's kind of emanating, and it feels more powerful than normal. What do you want to do?
Oh, well, I do have inventory. Okay, yeah. Does it appear to be a normal wolf?
It does appear to be a normal wolf. It just is compared to. Actually, I should probably make it this. This would make it feel more accurate. It's the same. It's a regular wolf. It's just really big.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's just a normal wolf. It's just very large. So, because wolves are big. So yes. And she is a young child. She looks like she's maybe 10 or 11, and she looks like she's crying. She is crying, but you don't hear any noise coming from her. But you hear the growling of the wolf. It's an odd sensation.
So I can I can't hear her crying. I see.
You
I
can
see the motions.
Yes, you can physically see her crying, but you don't hear any noise coming from her. But you see the wolf in his aggressive, in their aggressive form stands, and you can hear the growling of the wolf as it's stepping closer and closer to this young girl.
Well, I will use my full movement to go right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I will attack the wolf.
Do it.
Twice.
Okay.
So first hit.
That misses.
And second hit.
That hits. And as you slice down with the first one, you go to swing, and the wolf hears you at the last second and kind of jumps out the way and moves his back haunches and back hips away from you. But the second one kind of connects before he's fully able to land his 4 feet in the attack position. Go ahead and roll damage. As you go and you pierce with the sword, you see that the silver energy that was emanating kind of spins around it and pulsates into the wolf, emanating an additional force blast into this wolf. So go ahead and roll me an additional 1d6 force damage, please. Hey, it's damage. You see that where you stab them, there is now this, it's almost like an indentation, just as almost like you just hit him with a hammer in his ribs. The wolf's going to turn and look at you, and he's going to try and take a bite out of you. A 9?
Nope.
He has to chomp down, and you just kind of dodge out the way, sword dancing. You see the girl is crawling back towards the tent, trying to escape, while the wolf is distracted looking at you. It is your turn. Your sword is still glowing.
Are both my swords glowing? Or
just the one.
Okay. Okay, well, here's my primary sword.
No,
sucks.
that misses.
And then I guess my bonus attack is the silver sword.
Mm-hmm. That does hit. Roll me another damage with another 1d6 force damage. So 6.
Okay, there we go.
How would you like to kill this wolf?
I like to imagine. So my first attack missed, so I swung my first attack, and he kind of leaped back, and he tried to jump forward and take a bite out of me, and I just ran the silver sword right through his chest.
As you run the sword through the chest, you feel again the silver energy. This time, it almost leaves the sword completely, and it kind of like spiderwebs in through the entirety of the anatomy of this wolf, and you just see a like an internal explosion, and then the wolf's eyes just fade into cloudy nothingness, and the wolf kind of turns to ash and kind of floats off in the wind. And as you look over to the screaming girl, she also kind of turns to dust and kind of fades away like the smoke from the herbs that you're burning. And you kind of open your eyes really quickly, and you are back sitting in the chair, still breathing in this incense that you are burning. And as you are looking about and regaining composure of where you are, you kind of feel snapped back into almost this other dreamscape, and you feel like you're stuck to this chair, and you hear Aiden's voice once more. You've solved the puzzle for your mind. You've protected those in need. Now, can you help yourself? And as you kind of look around for a second, you all of a sudden feel this shooting pain in your stomach, and you look down, and out of nowhere, you're starting to just bleed, almost like someone stabbed you in the gut. And as you're just bleeding out without anything around you in any immediate ways to heal you, your other sword begins to glow. This one, however, is glowing with a golden evocation-based emanating force, just kind of warbling off of the sword, kind of drawing you to it. What would you like to do?
Oh, I pick up the sword.
As you pick up the sword, you hear the voice in your head once more that says, use the sword, protect yourself, defend. And you hear the magical activation word, of which it can be whatever you want it to be, come to your mind, and you get the feeling that if you focus on this word hard enough, the energy from the sword can repair your wound.
Well, I will be focusing on that word.
You focus on that word and roll me a 1d6, and this is how much HP you would recover.
Nice.
Bam. As you focus on it, you see, almost like a snake, the golden energy kind of becomes very Slytherin and serpentine in nature, and kind of slides over into the wound and almost starts to sew it up as it gets absorbed. And as you look down, you do still have a few remnants of bloodstains, but as you lift up your shirt, you can see there's nothing. There's no wound. There's no cut. There's no hole. There's no bleeding. There's no nothing. And at this time, you hear the voice once more. It says, wake up, Tristen. It's time to begin your journey. And you snap awake, and you're no longer in the chair in the room with the burning incense of the former residence of your mentor. You're now sitting out against a tree in the cold morning air, looking towards the village that you just went to, but there is no village. There is no town in front of you. You're just sitting against this thick, cold, wet tree early in the morning. And as you look around, kind of trying to regain your bearings, you see a few things. You see there is now this new backpack that you didn't have before sitting in your lap. And as you open it, you see there are 2 healing potions in there. There's some traveling rations, about 10 days worth. There's an additional 5 gold pieces. And there are 2 new swords sitting sheathed beside you. One of them emanating this deep purple energy, and one of them emanating this deep golden energy. And if you look in your inventory, you now have 2 new short swords in your inventory. You also see in your backpack there is a letter, and in Aiden's handwriting you just see it has your name on it. And you should see the letter popping up now. It says, "Tristen, I know that this will find you at a time when I am no longer with you or among the living, which saddens me so. Though I hope that you're taking care of yourself. I know not of my death or how it came to be, but in the faith that I have in you and in the others, I know that it will not be in vain. Please take these gifts of healing, protection, and knowledge that you have passed my final test and become worthy of these blades that I had forged for you to continue your journey. Please do not despair, but seek out an old companion of mine in Jonathan, likely located at the crossroads out of Eldoria. I trust your ranger instincts to guide you there without issue, but just in case, I have provided a map on the back of this letter. Please do not get it wet or destroy it. That will only make your journey longer. I hope that you're caring for yourself and protecting others fully. I look forward to meeting you again in a future life. Loyally, Aiden Thome."
I do not yet see the letter.
It should be in your journal. Let me see. Oh wait, that's why. Whoops. There you go. Now you should see it.
Ah, there it is.
Yes. I forgot to put it on you earlier. But yes, you find a backpack with 2 potions of healing, 10 days worth of rations, this letter, and then the 2 swords. So all in all, you have 4 swords, but you don't have to keep them if you don't want all 4. I'm going to add these potions of healings real quick to your inventory. I've added the 2 swords to your inventory.
I see them. I was just about to add those things.
Yeah, one of them will just be a dual wield, so it'll show up differently. But you see with these swords that they are magical, and they are... You kind of already tested them out. The one called Defender is the one that it'll go up with your proficiency bonus, so the 2 times will become 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. But it's just 2 for right now. You can heal yourself or somebody else within 60 feet of you for 1d6 HP that many times per day. 2 times, and then the Nemesis one, you can activate it proficiency bonus times per day and deal an additional 1d6 points of force damage to a target, which both of these can be modified and upgraded and stuff as you grow. Yes. But looking at the back of this letter, you see there is a map from your current location, which you know you haven't moved locations, and this is where you know to have been Aiden's village. But for the life of you, you don't see it anymore. It is not physically here. So you don't know if you had a hallucination, if you ate something, if something was in the air or the water or what. But you remember talking to Jasper. You remember going into Aiden's old house, sitting and breathing his meditative herbs and going through his little challenges. Um, but the back of this letter has the map from your exact location where you are right now to the crossroads outside of Eldoria, and it looks like it's going to be about a 7 to 8 day trip if you don't get sidetracked or have terrible weather or have to do anything, or if the road's blocked or anything like that. So you know you can get there in about a weekish. So
Oh, with a sad smile, and as I fold up, I've studied the map and I fold it up and put it in my pocket. I think to myself, "You old bastard! I don't know how you did it, but I'll do everything in my power to bring honor to your legacy." And I will begin my journey toward to find his old friend.
and as you make your way towards Eldoria, that is where we will pick up next time with you seeing what happens next when everyone should all be in the same session together. Yay! But yes, so